So how do you learn taqwa? From fasting. The scholars say, if you don't eat and drink in front of people, or not having any beginning of intimate relations between spouses in front of people, and then you go home and close all the doors, and the only door you open is the door of the fridge, do you have taqwa, akhi and ukhti? La wallahi. So you learn to have taqwa. Be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa jalla fi ula when you're all alone. And that's when the scholars say, that's the only time you will know whether you have taqwa or not. When you're all alone, when you close all the gates, nobody else sees you, nobody else hears you, except Allah subhanahu wa jalla fi ula. And you say, Inni akhafullah. When you're all alone, that's when you know whether you have taqwa or not. That's why the scholars will tell you that's the reason, it's the secret between you and Allah. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the divine tradition. That says that all the acts of the children of Adam and the deeds is for them, except fasting is for it's for me. And I will reward him for it. Because it's a secret between you and Allah subhanahu wa jalla fi ula. So since He closed all the gates, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open one gate for you. On Judgment Day, the gate of Rayyan. Nobody else will be able to go through this gate except those who fasted for the sake of Allah. So you left your food for the sake of Allah, Allah will feed you from the food of heaven, inshallah. You left your drink for the sake of Allah, so Allah will quench your thirst from Alkauthar, inshallah. You left your whims and desires. You learn something about yourself. For the sake of Allah, Allah will reward you abundance of eternal life and bless in Jannah. Ameen. Now, since you already know you're leaving things that are halal, food and water and intimate relations between spouses are halal. So the scholars will also tell you, how could you be leaving something that is halal and doing something that is haram? Subhanallah. Is it possible, akhi? Is it possible, ukhti, that you leave things that are actually halal, eating and drinking, halal food, and halal drinks, and intimate relations between spouses are halal? So you're leaving that. And could you be doing something that's haram even though you're leaving something that's halal? La wallahi. So you learn something about yourself. You're made of body and soul. Some of the scholars say body, soul and mind, aql. So what you're made of body is a lower being, is dust, clay. That's your whims and desires. Your spirit is a higher being. Your mind is what differentiates of the decisions you make, on the actions you take. So if your whims and desires control you, you're a lower being. You're a servant to your own whims and desires. You're imprisoned to your own whims and desires. Slave. Poor person can't control your own whims and desires. But if your spiritual side controls your whims and desires, you're on a higher link, higher stature, higher in the sight of Allah. So that's how Islam teaches you to be the best of the best. When you leave things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa jalla fi ula, Allah rewards you something better.